Hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining everybody for a top five list. And today we are going to put emphasis on the rye whiskey category. I think rye whiskeys are very underrated amongst most people, but man, this category has exploded over the last couple of years. Even last year, we declared that it was the year of the rye in 2024, but still I have been coming across some amazing rye whiskeys in 2025 that I want to talk about today. And I don't think much will change as we approach the end of the year. So thank you for joining us, whiskey friends. Let's kick off the show. But yeah, getting into rye whiskeys. I mean, last year, 2024, there was an abundance of 10 to 11-year MGP rye whiskey that hit the market. I think there were a few barrel brokered or different distilleries that were just trying to get rid of their barrels to get cash flow going. Man, there were some good barrels and bottles that hit the market last year. But so much about what people think about rye whiskey rests within that 95.5 MGP mash bill. And that is a total misconception about what rye whiskey could be. And what we're going to go through today is going to actually show that with the variation of mash bills in this top five of the things that have merged to me this year. So while this isn't an end of year list, I do think not much is going to change in like the next 8 weeks. So I never put this much emphasis on rye whiskey, but I'm going to put it on it today. So starting at number 5. So this is one that I bought 3 of thus far. I might have to get one more before we go. But this is a 9-year Sagamore picked by Bourbon of the Week and Gentleman of Whiskey. I am going to pour a little bit of this right now, but this one impressed me quite a bit. I have been really into Sagamore single barrels for the last couple years. Even been talking to Dusty Dan on the need for us to do a single barrel of Sagamore. So one of the picks that Dusty did with Jason and with Scott over at the Mash and Journey was the Dusty debut. And the sticker on that is just Dan's smoldering face. And I take no offense, but man, did my wife enjoy that bottle. But I feel like I've grown up with Sagamore through the Mash and Journey. And as we get through these 9-year picks, going into this one with Bourbon of the Week and Gentleman of Whiskey, I adore the oak profile that is now on these single barrels. I mean, that 99.5 DNA still rests within there. I mean, I get a lot of tea notes now, a lot of that very refreshing nature of what an MGP rye can give. But then there's that underlying sweetness and that cookie. Man, that age statement's on profile, that mouthfeel's on profile. Oh man, that sweetness is just over the top on this one. Man, I love this. Now, one of the things I am worried about with these Sagamore 9 years, the groups that did the pick said they only got to pick amongst 9-year barrels, which still makes me wonder, at some point, will Sagamore pull the same thing that we saw with High West when they transition to their own juice? Pure speculation on my part, but man, I just wonder if this series of picks is the end of the line. So don't sleep on these if you got a chance for them. Number 4. All right. This one is a surprise one for me, but not a surprise one for me because I know all the people that are involved, but it does raise a very confusing point that I find either with this brand or with the sourcing brand across the board. But number 4 on the list is going to be this rare character rye. This one's coming in at 122 proof, almost 8.5 years. But this is where we get into these unique mash bills for rye whiskey that are beyond the 95.5 that we're used to and we just discussed on the last one. And from what I know, I think this one's being sourced from Bardstown Bourbon Company. But what is so weird about this is that the best rye examples that I've had from Bardstown Bourbon Company aren't on their own label. And I feel like Green River and Bardstown do this quite a bit, where for some reason they give their best stuff away, and I can't figure it out yet. I'm sure there's a rhyme or reason to it. But when it comes to Green River and Bardstown Bourbon Company, thus far, their best stuff that I have in my mind is not under their labels. And this is another example of that. But the mouthfeel and the finish on this one are dead on. And one of the things that I loved about this one was the balance between the sweet and the spiciness of the rye and what was happening with some of the corn that's in this mash bill as well. But yeah, I'm going to pour a little bit of it here. But yeah, I can understand why Vic fell in love with this one. It's the spiciness of the seeds and a pepper notes combined with all of that sweetness with a very nice underlying oak underneath all that too. And then as you get into the palate, man, there's some good fruits there as well. Still just makes me wonder why I haven't had anything under Bardstown own label that has this dynamic of a flavor profile to it. It's very strange when they give their best stuff away to other people. Number 3. Well, we're going to start winding down this list here, but we're going to go from one of the more expensive ones on the list to one of the cheaper ones on the list. Because, man, there is a deal out there on the shelf right now that I can't stress enough. I don't feel like there's been a deal on the shelf to this degree since maybe you could get a Henry McKenna 10-year for $30. But you should really put on your radar the Silver Springs Sweet Rye. This one got on my radar from Brandon over there at Brutally Honest Bourbon. And as of a couple of weeks here, you could look up a live stream on this channel where we picked a single barrel of this live that blows my mind, like literally just broke my brain for like 5 minutes. Like, I took a sip of the single barrel that we're going to be offering here, whenever the timing lines up. And oh my gosh, for $36 to $40, whatever this price is going to be, such an amazing deal on a rye whiskey. The mash bill, once again, very unique, not 95.5 again. So this one is 65% rye, 15% corn, 20% malted barley. So the same mash bill that you'll see on Old Forester, single barrel rye, but this one's coming out of Kentucky. And man, it is some amazing, amazing stuff. I have now gotten my hands on we're going to say 5 different single barrels. And I love them all. Though I will say they don't all hit at the same level, but even the lowest level is utterly amazing for the price. So don't sleep on this. This is a point in time type of thing that's going to fade away. So if you don't get on this now, by the time you get on it, it might cost more or it might just be done completely. So don't sleep on this whiskey. Number 2. All right, we're winding this list down and we are getting to, the top 2 here. These are both, once again, going to be unique. None of them are MGP. There's only one on this list that was MGP, by the way, which in and of itself for a rye whiskey list is pretty impressive. So now we're getting into my hometown, Dayton, Ohio. Man, representing with the Dedrics. Man, I've enjoyed my adventure with Dedrics thus far this year, but this rye is killer. And what I love about this rye, it's a 4-grain rye with some wheat. And I've been very interested in the distilleries that are experimenting with wheat in their rye whiskeys. Now, on this one, man, I am getting low. I'm actually I can't drink it anymore. It's actually at that point in the bottle because if I were to nominate this in our top whiskeys of the year flight, I've got to have at least 8 ounces. Do I have 8 ounces in this thing? I'm very nervous about that. So we will see what happens there. But the flavor profile on this one, from what I can recall, was mainly like plum leaning, but then there was like this amazing cream horn and bakery goods things going on. Man, almost gave me like notes like an eclair with all that custard and the dough and the chocolate on top. Come on, man. Who calls those things out on a rye whiskey? Keep your eye on this. They don't make much, but what they make is pretty spectacular. And I'm going to keep bringing them up as time goes on here. And the number one rye whiskey thus far this year is, well, been waiting for this for a bit, and thank God, New Riff is finally spoiling us with some delicious old age statement whiskey. And my number one rye whiskey of the year is the first decade high note here, coming from New Riff. 10 years old, 120 proof of deliciousness. Man, low on this one, but lucky for me, I've got a backup, so we will keep this thing going in our end of the year tournament for sure. I am nominating this one. Poured a little bit of it out here. Man, that age statement and that oak really elevates this one. Very similar degree of the year of the rye that I talked about with 2024, when all that old MGP hit the market. Ugh, it's right there in that glass. I think what impresses me the most about this one, though, is the fruits that I get off of this. I mean, it's somewhere in between tropical citrus and even a little bit of cherry. Like, you get the cherry, you get the orange, you get a little bit of mango. Oh man, that is the thing that puts me on top on this one. But then it's also 10 years old. So then you get like the oak profile over the top of that. Lovely, lovely whiskey. And my number one rye of the year. So let me know what you think in the comments. What are your favorite rye whiskeys of the year? Do you agree with this list? And what do you think about the rye category overall? Did you always find yourself in love with it, or have you found yourself more in love with it as time goes on and we get to explore all these various combinations of mash bills? And then just remember, you'll always find more whiskey, but you will never find enough whiskey friends. So take care of those around you, and we will catch you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for watching Hello Again, Whiskey Friends, everybody. A big shout out to our amazing Patreon community. If it wasn't for you, we couldn't continue to produce the content and barrel picks week after week. And for everybody else out there, be sure to hit that like and subscribe. It really helps the channel more than you know. And we'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody.